yellow card, I think most people would have been happy with that. But, at least you have this thing where Ireland aren't down to, like what happened to you guys in the World Cup final.
I'm always asking the question, are we getting better? Are we improving? Is this side better since South Africa put a record beatdown on us in Wellington just 3 test matches ago?
You went up to Croke Park in Dublin, was screaming, showing all the Leinster guys that I'm the man in this number 10 jersey. And then he gets the 10 jersey last night, and again, a couple of good moments, but misses a kind of crucial penalty in the second half.
DSPN is brought to you by Novus Glass, proud partner of the Special Olympics New Zealand. The Special Olympics NZ National Summer Games is in Otutahi this December. Across Aotearoa, New Zealand, athletes, clubs, volunteers and families are getting ready, training, supporting each other and celebrating as the flame of hope travels down the country. Text Novus to 3598 to support our athletes. That's NOVUS to 3598 to support our incredible athletes at the Special Olympics in Otutahi, Christchurch this December. Notice it, Novus it.
Welcome to the DSPN.
John Walker wins the 1500 metres gold medal at the Olympic Games.
The All Blacks have won by 29 points tonight.
The Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome to the podcast, people. Martin Devlin, Lachlan War. Thanks very much to Novus for supporting us. Leave us a comment. We love them all. Had hundreds to go through after our live post-match broadcast yesterday. And yes, when you live post the match, there is a lot of extra emotion involved, and it's your initial reaction and everything else. So I'm about to do a big sermon on the game, give you my pass mark for the All Blacks, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, the emotion subsides after 24 hours. Pat McCarry from Rugby Pass giving us an Irish perspective on the All Blacks win in Chicago, as well as that Murray Mex did on the podcast as well. Mex going to break it all down from a technical analysis perspective as we build up now to Scotland and look at some changes that are going to have to take place in the All Blacks, injury enforced. Part 2 of the Grand Slam this coming Sunday. But we're still talking post-match Ireland, of course. As I said, leave us a comment. Thank you so much for supporting us on the DSPN YouTube channel across Rovers, Spotify Video, Apple Podcasts. We read all the comments. We get back to as many as possibly can. And we've got another session of mailbag happening on Friday. In the meantime, though, I give the All Blacks a B.
Marty Sermons, brought to you by WebWonks. Generate online leads with WebWonks. Doctors for your Google data.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
A B, a solid B. That's my pass mark after the All Blacks beat Ireland in Chicago yesterday morning, New Zealand time. A plus for the last 20 minutes. We were utterly magnificent in that last 20 minutes, probably the best 20 minutes of All Black rugby this year, given the opponent and given what that game was about. First hour of the match, though, as shaky and flaky and underwhelming as we've been at times all season. That's the 10th test we've played this year, 24th under coach Scott Robertson. And I'm always asking the question, are we getting better? Are we improving? Do you think we are? Leave us a comment about it. Is the side better than it was this time last year? Is the side better than the side that lost in the World Cup final in 2023? Is the side better since South Africa put a record beatdown on us in Wellington just 3 test matches ago? There's always this grey area where, yes, of course I want to celebrate the win and congratulate for the win and appreciate that. No win in test rugby is ever easy. I get all of that, and I also buy into it. And during the week, there I was on many occasions saying, look, I just want to score more points than them. I just want to win this game. And of course that's how I was feeling, because I was thinking if we lost to Ireland, well then there goes the Grand Slam, and where does that leave us? So yeah, it was all about winning and just winning. But, or maybe the but should be a however, we've also got to be honest about our performance, acknowledge our misgivings, be ruthless in how we accept our actual learnings from these games. Because we always constantly get told, don't we? Oh, we're taking the learnings. Oh, yeah, we're learning the learnings. Oh, there's plenty of learnings. Well, are we? Are we learning? Or are we making the same mistakes every time we play? Is our backline still stilted and disjointed and unconvincing, even after having played 9 tests this year previous to that one? Why is our set piece, our line-out coming apart like it did? What, again, are the tactics behind our kicking game? Because it looks kind of aimless and pointless a lot of the time. What are we trying to achieve there exactly? I only ask these questions because I care. I ask these questions because I'm wary. I'm wary about sitting on our laurels saying, yes, we won that test match, and that means it's good enough. History frequently reminds us that it isn't. We all thought after beating Argentina in Cordoba this year that, hey, that was great. The All Blacks came on big time in the last 20 minutes. We were strong. Yeah, there were patches during that game. We weren't that good. But hey, the All Blacks are back. We're all good. And then what happened in the next Well, Argentina exploited those obvious glaring weaknesses and comfortably beat us. Same with South Africa at Eden Park. It was a great win. It was a historic win. It was such an important win. We bounced back after losing to the Argies. But how great was it? The last 10 minutes with 14 men, they had 78% possession and almost snatched a draw. Do we just forget about that bit and be happy with the win? Sure. And next week, what happened? South Africa took us to the cleaners. They took the lessons, they exploited our obvious weaknesses, and they put a record score on us in Wellington. So to me, we have to be truthful about when we aren't playing well and what our failings are, because the opposition is watching and they're picking up on all that stuff. So yes, acknowledge the win and celebrate the win. And I do. And perhaps yesterday I caught up in the emotion of it all. Perhaps I didn't get that point across as well as I wanted to. I started with the positives, and that was 26-13. We won the Grand Slammers on. But we were clunky. And we were clunky versus France in July. And it's now November, and we're still clunky? That's kind of the bit that's confusing me, worrying me. Of course, injuries didn't help, and the ref was a bit trigger happy, all of that. But let's accentuate the positive here. We were great in the last 20. We were superb, in fact. We beat Ireland. We needed the win. We got the win. And yes, we've got to be happy with that. But don't ask me to cheerlead and sit here and say everything was perfect. It wasn't. I give it a B. Yes, we got the job done. Yes, it was a great win. But that was not a great performance. Welcome back to the DSPN, Martin Devlin, Lachlan War. And as you can see in the corner over here, proudly sponsored by Novus Glass. Notice it, Novus it. And we thank Novus very much for their support. Pat, it is a pleasure, as always, Pat McCarry from Rugby Pass, out of Ireland, 24 hours later to let it all subside, the emotions subside. Look, we did an immediate post-match yesterday, and I always get caught up in the about the game. I've had a good night's sleep to think about it. You were watching it in the pub, though, and this is a first for you in about 12 years, because when you're doing these jobs, normally you got pen and paper in hand and your laptop out there, and it's a different way of watching. You went to the pub, though. So your first initial thoughts and impressions at that final whistle were what?
First of all, thanks for having me back on, but very frustrated at the end and kind of angry. I think, but the first one is that a lot of people who were kind of covering that game, and some of the journalists that were over in Chicago, and some of the people, even before there was a press conference, before they left to fly over to America, the questions were like, surely this team hasn't got enough match time, big minutes under the belt. And, I'm sure Andy Farrell, if you got hold of him in a corner and there was no tape recorders around or phones, he'd tell you that he's frustrated himself. But I was kind of going, how are we allowed to get ourselves into a situation where, like, we're going into a game where two of our players, it's their first game of the season, and you're playing against the All Blacks in a test match, and there's going to be world ranking points up for grabs, and the World Cup pool draw is getting done in a month's time. Like, so very kind of frustrated with that as well. And then, I think I might have mentioned it to you. Like, I think I listened to your show there that you kind of did the immediate kind of post-match, and you guys had frustrations, and I had frustrations as well. And I always kind of felt like it was an opportunity lost to beat an All Blacks team there, because for 60 minutes, Ireland were the better side, and then they just completely ran out of gas at the end. That Andy Farrell said it was nothing got to do with fitness, but he was saying it was like mental sharpness. But that's you start making those mental mistakes when you are tired as well. So very frustrated on it. Maybe it settled down a little bit. I'm not as frustrated as I was last night, but I think you might say the same as well yourself.
Yeah, and I'll always applaud the win. And during the week, I was, adamant, and I said it many times. Look, I don't care how we win. I just want us to win. We've got to get more points than Ireland, because otherwise the Grand Slam is over before it even starts. Mm-hmm. I acknowledge all of that, but I guess just from this point of view, we've been told for almost 24 tests that we're clunky. We were clunky against England last year when the new coaching regime came in, and that's their first test matches in charge. We understand. We were clunky again versus France, and that's not the most strongest team that France could send down here. We're clunky for 3 tests against them. It's now November, the 10th test of the year, and we're still clunky. And that's where the frustration comes from. Look, I applaud the scoreline. I applaud the win. And the All Blacks in the last 20 minutes were absolutely magnificent. But it just took so long to get going. And I just guess that we're a little wary, because every time we start thinking that I think the All Blacks are back on track here, I think that we've got it. Then Argentina gave us one of those in Buenos Aires. We beat the Springboks at Eden Park, and then they turn around and whip us like we've never been whipped in Wellington. And so, I'm still a little bit like that with this team. And so when we play like that in the first 60 minutes, I've got a lot of questions as to how when we've been playing test matches, Pat, how come we come out playing like that? You know, that's where the frustration comes from.
Yeah, and it's like it is settled enough. So I don't know, there's always one or two pieces that you guys are cutting added in, but like it's settled enough New Zealand team now. Like a lot of guys are, you know, even if they're new to the system, they've played like 6 or 7 tests now. So you'd like to start seeing again. Yeah, I know you often talk about like Man United and Ruben Amorim as well, but like you'd like to see us a little bit more shape, or okay, what are we working towards? At least like with a lot of fans is like, it might not be a perfect performance, but I can see what you're trying to do. You know, that kind of thing. Whereas, you know, apart from that, you know, Leicester's kind of brilliant break in the first half where he kind of like, and then Will Jordan as well, kind of combining, you know, for the Savea try, like that was kind of it from New Zealand for the first 60 minutes. And they're a side that I think some of the criticism about New Zealand is even some of the simple stuff like the catch pass stuff and like the scrum looks pretty good now, but now the line out's not working as well. So it's like, yeah, as you said, clunky. There's like there's like the cogs and the wheels are not exactly kind of joining up as well. And so again, like New Zealand always capable of these great moments, but there weren't any kind of moments of like that they had Ireland under the cosh for 10 or 15 minutes as well. And so for that first hour, it was very even. As well, like, so yeah, like, and that's why maybe I was left with that sense of frustration as well, because you're thinking that's one that got away from Ireland. Like that New Zealand team, you know, they're very good, but they're not a great team, and we could have beaten them, like, you know, on another day as well. So, or if we had a couple more games under our belt, like you'd love to take them on, New Zealand on now in 2 weeks' time or something. But once again, the chance is gone, and that's the second year in a row now where New Zealand have played us first up, and we've been caught cold. And so that'll be very frustrating for Andy Farrell. But yeah, for you guys, it's like, when does the clunkiness kind of wear off, or when do things start to kind of gel as well? And isn't it funny like that we're both left with the sense of kind of like,
just a little bit of that. Yeah,
but yeah, first game in a while, so hopefully maybe like they both get into their groove a little bit. Like I do know Andy Farrell, like when Ireland lose a game, like he like I'd be surprised now again if they drop another one, even though I know they have like a Australia and the Springboks coming up, but I wouldn't be. I'd be surprised if Ireland dropped their game in November, even though they are dealing with a few issues. Like, but from New Zealand, Roygaard's very impressive kind of player as well. Like, you know, a lot of kind of, I said, like Irish fans might not have seen a lot of like Peter Lakai as well. Like, but he looked very impressive too. And then like we were all kind of delighted here in Ireland when Wallace Tatiti was kind of named on the bench. We're like, that's great, keep him there as long as possible. But he came on and made a massive difference, didn't he?
Yeah, look, you highlighted, you know, some really good points there in terms of our depth. And now we go into this Scotland test, and we don't know with some of the injuries whether or not we are going to have enforced changes. You know, Leicester for a start. Look, he was a beast, and you will remember him from the quarterfinal in 2023, and he played on the wing that day. There's just something about this guy. He's big and strong. He demands attention when he gets the ball. And you know, we saw a couple of times your guys flying up out of the line, missing tackles, and all of a sudden he got the break. That was, you know, that was brilliant to watch. Lakai was strong. I thought our two locks were really good. I mean, after Scott Barrett, you know, went off to have, you know, that's a brand new locking combination, and maybe we've seen the future there as well. So when you look back and, you know, without, as I say, the sheer emotion of it, and you start looking at things and you can tick boxes and go. However, at the same time, you know, we are in a pattern with the All Blacks at the moment, I think, where I wonder whether a lot of us fans are just thinking, okay, this isn't a great All Blacks. So we know that. We're trying to become great. And I suppose that happens at the World Cup in 2 years' time, we find out. But in the meantime, we're very even with a lot of teams. And so that's why I think a lot of people are applauding and appreciating just the win. You know, Argentina are beating us regularly now. We seem to have the wood on Australia. We've beaten South Africa this year. We hadn't done that for 4 or 5 times. You know, so a win against Ireland, you've got to bank that and go, okay, as I said right at the start, if we hadn't have got that, the Grand Slam was an absolute tatters, and some serious questions were going to be asked about Scott Robertson and his coaches. We've got that now. So onwards and upwards. Now we've got Scotland, and then we've got England, then we've got Wales. It gives impetus, and that's what a win does, doesn't it? So these players will take a lot of confidence out of that. And if we can replicate that last 20 minutes and start like that, just start and put that kind of pressure on, then I think it'll change a lot of perception about this team. I hope so. Yeah.
And it's like, I suppose it's even the thing. I remember when the All Blacks beat us in the quarterfinal in 2023, it was all about like the initial frustration when you look at a game is that, you know, we didn't play, like we didn't play to our strengths. We didn't get into any type of a groove. And then you might go back and rewatch the game and you're saying, well, that's because the All Blacks didn't let us play. And it was the same last year when they beat us in Dublin. They killed the game. They know Ireland like to start fast and kind of keep the ball alive as well a little bit, but they were kind of doing the opposite. And I kind of noticed last night as well that like New Zealand were trying to keep the ball in play as much as they could, taking quick lineouts as well, because they knew Ireland were kind of, this is almost like first game of the season or second game of the season for a few guys as well. Like, so, so it was kind of frustrating in that regard. Like, but for you guys, actually, there was one player who jumped out. Like, again, good player as well, but like maybe he's lost a little bit at Stardust over the last few years. Is like Bowden Barrett, like. Maybe because he's switching positions every now and then. I'm like, we have 10 debates all the time in Ireland. You guys have someone like Mackenzie who kind of can cover there as well. But Bowden Barrett, like, just kind of getting about his job, doing everything, but he's kind of seems to be lacking that kind of real sparkle that he had. And, he scores so many tries and makes so many line breaks as well. But he's kind of dropped back to the pack a little bit, which is a strange thing to say about a player like that. But again, last night, it was a game that he didn't kind of stamp his mark all over, which he used to do on a regular basis a few years back.
Agree. And there's a real conundrum now with him as to what do we do? Do we put Damien McKenzie in there? We've got Ruben Love sitting in the background. We've got Richie Mwanga coming back next year. Look, there are elements of Bowden Barrett's game where he looks like the guy we think is Bowden Barrett. He's brilliant. And then misses touch, does a really weird banana kick, makes some strange decisions. And it's for every 2 or 3 good things he does a couple of really, it is a debate that continues every time the All Blacks are selected at the moment as to. And we are now facing a situation where we are going to have some injury-enforced changes. So I don't know what they do with that. But I've always been a big fan of Bowden Barrett. I've always been a big supporter of playing him at 10, and he's our best number 10. But again, I agree with you. It's just we don't look utterly convincing. And I think that's after 10 tests of the year, you expect the team to have that kind of rhythm. And I just think be more convincing. And this is a game that was set up for us, I think, because this is an Irish team that if we are going to have, they're never any easier game, but if we are going to get the Irish when they're underdone, that was it. We're coming off a rugby championship. Yeah. You guys aren't. You guys have just started your season. So, if anyone was going to be rusty in the first 60 minutes, that should have been you. It shouldn't have been us. That's where my frustration came from. Yeah,
well, that's it. I was kind of on just like Irish radio there before the game, off the ball, on News Talk, and I was chatting to the guys, Ger and Colm there, and the general sense was just like that there wasn't a lot of Irish confidence going into the game, and it's because we're seeing what everybody else is seeing as well. It's an aging team. We always kind of I suppose we just see history repeating all the time. A new coach or new players come along and a World Cup comes along and we have players that are 35, 36, and then a couple of younger lads in their 20s, and they all wonder what are you worrying about? We're going to be fine. We're a new team. And then history repeats itself. We kind of run out of gas again in games. We have older players and then we say we have to change it. So I think everybody's kind of apprehensive in Ireland about where's the next generation of players coming through. And we could even see last night, that was Jack Crowley got his big game there. And that was his big chance. And if you would have caught any of the Munster-Leinster game 2 weeks beforehand, he was absolutely brilliant against Leinster. Real statement performance. He went up to Croke Park in Dublin, was screaming, putting his, cupping his hand to his ear, showing all the Leinster guys that I'm the man in this number 10 jersey. And then he gets the 10 jersey last night. And again, a couple of good moments, but misses a kind of crucial penalty in the second half. And then kind of gives away, tries to take a carry, chases back, tries to step somebody, gives away a penalty, and the All Blacks score a try a couple of minutes later. So, he stepped up for Munster, but he hasn't stepped up for Ireland. So, we're in a similar situation where we've this Big Ten debate on all, but neither Prendergast or Crowley have actually grabbed the jersey and said it's mine. And then, I think, when you have great players that are brilliant for so many years, like a Sam Cane, and then a Sam Cane disappears. We had Johnny Sexton for so many years, and you do take it for granted sometimes when you have a world-class player in there. Now Ireland have lost that, and it's almost like the auditions are going on in every game, and we're losing a bit of that kind of momentum and drive because we don't have a leader at 10. So it's kind of hurting us a little bit. But yeah, there was a big worry in Ireland. I think I predicted New Zealand by 4 points. It was going to be a tight one, but they got away a bit near from us at the end. And but yeah, that was it. Everybody's fears basically in Ireland were kind of portrayed as well, because they knew the All Blacks still looked like really good moments in the Rugby Championship, but still look a team that you can get at, which is probably like imagine saying that about a New Zealand side as well. Like, but you can get at them, you can target them in a few places. The line out kind of for you guys, it was shaky for both sides.
Yeah.
But there still was that fear that Ireland were they just didn't have enough minutes under the belt. Like that was Caelan Doris's first game of the season and Jack Conan's first game of the season. Like you can't go into a game against the All Blacks with that. It's madness.
Couple of things. The red card, the yellow card, the red card. I read something this morning from a good mate, Jamie Wall, and he said that's the best example of how a red card should be 20 minutes. And I totally agree with that. I didn't think it was a red. Look, it was clumsy, but it was accidental. And every time it's accidental and it's not intentional, my natural reaction is, look, it's a yellow. It has to be a yellow because these things happen in games. You know, I said yesterday, Pat, if that had been a red card and he'd gone after 3 minutes, I probably would have switched the TV off and go, this game is just driving me crazy now. You know, World Rugby, what the hell are you doing? Thank God he came on after 20. Was it a red card in your mind?
No, yeah, maybe again I've calmed down after, or like the alcohol has left my system now as well, and I wasn't as forceful as I was last night. But no, I don't think so. Like, but I don't think it was. But again, you're right. It was clumsy. And then when I look back at it again today, you're almost kind of saying, what are you doing? Like he kind of braced himself, or like he tensed himself. And again, like the big thing you're hoping is that Beauden Barrett's okay. It was fine that he was able to play on. I know even a couple of other people saying like, anytime somebody gets a yellow or a red card for a shot to the head, why doesn't that player come off for like a HIA test? Like that's a kind of strange little weird like World Rugby misnomer that's kind of going on at the moment. But yeah, yellow card, I think most people would have been happy with that. But at least you have the 20-minute red card. Like, you know, at least you have this thing where Ireland aren't down to like what happened to you guys in the World Cup final. Like, you know, a guy goes in to make a genuine attempt on something and then is gone for the rest of the game. So, you know, it's not perfect, but it's better than kind of having a game. As you said, it would have been ruined, I'd say, like if Byrne was gone for the whole game. So at least it's damage limitation almost in a way. Yeah. But yeah, like I think most people, as Andy Farrell said after the game, played at a real speed.
Yeah,
and you'll just see how innocuous
I agree.
Like,
I agree. Oh, look, all of these things to me, the TMO, if you can't look at it in real time, then switch the cameras off. And look, this microscopic frame by frame, that's not how life plays out in front of us. Life is split-second moments and everything. I mean, if you end up fender bending somebody, driving into the back of them because all of a sudden you were stupid and glanced at your phone or something, it doesn't slow down into frame by frame. It happens just like that. And I think, you know, for the TMO, you have to get a perception of it. And the only way to get a perception, I agree with Andy Farrell, is to see it in real time. Make your judgment in real time, like the players do, as opposed to you get the advantage of sitting here. In terms of the spectacle, and, you know, we had, I don't know what the media coverage was like where you were. We had just saturation media coverage here because most people are over there on a junket and they're just rewriting what New Zealand Rugby wants them to write. I get that. But a lot of it is so flowery and, you know, rugby's taking over this, rugby's going to do this. Look, you know, the World Rugby, you're putting on, this isn't just any old game. These are two of the best teams in the world playing at a standard that this is as good as it gets. This is the NFL playoffs. I mean, that's the equivalent of it. It's test match rugby. Did it sell itself in the best possible way, you think, to an American audience?
Yeah, well, they were definitely putting them out there. Like, again, I was watching clips during the week and they, like, both sides would have representatives out there. And yeah, there was a lot of kind of, you know, fine words and speeches being made as well. But they definitely took over a certain section of Chicago as well. And they got a lot of local good media coverage as well. And some of the clips were even kind of funny, like watching the kind of, you know, the commentators speak about stuff as well. Like, but yeah, and then I think what they did last time and they do it again is like they almost explain stuff for the fans that are in the stadium.
Yeah, exactly.
That penalty
that's what it should be happening. Exactly what should be happening.
Yeah, and then just the spectacle of it. I actually thought the New Zealand anthem was pretty good. Whoever kind of was performing, a few guys gave that a good rattle. There was an old guy who used to do a podcast together, Barry Murphy, used to play for Ireland. He sang Ireland's goal.
Oh, that was great. I thought that was brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, wore one of Anthony Foley's old kind of jerseys that were in a World Cup as well. So that was lovely. Yeah, so they gave it kind of socks. Like, then you have little stuff where, like, yeah, like the massive TMO hold-ups. Like, I know American fans are used to that kind of, you know, spot checks and games taking 4 hours. Like, but like, there was some real glitches. The kind of TV presentation was good. There was, you might have spotted as well, like not a lot of replays of crucial moments as well. and kind of like ways of kind of presenting it too. Like, so yeah, it wasn't perfect, but and the biggest thing for me was the pitch. The pitch looked like it was in awful condition, and I wonder if that was spoken about as well. Like, but you're trying to put on your best show, and you're on this kind of cabbage patch, like trying to play a game. So that doesn't help. No matter how many beers you sell before the game, and actually that was another one. I think the thing that Irish fans maybe and New Zealand fans might have enjoyed is the kind of the tailgate party element to it, where the stadium looked like it was nearly kind of empty, like 10 minutes beforehand, and they must have had to just push them in the doors kind of to watch the game because they're all outside drinking.
Finally, and this is, I'll leave it to one of the major New Zealand news organisations, which last night went, and this was Television New Zealand, All Blacks leave it late to put Ireland to the sword. And I was watching that thinking, wow, that was a pretty blunt, rusty old sword in the first 60 minutes, wasn't it? It was certainly sharp by the time the last 20 came out. But I thought that was a little exaggerative. Deference to you. I thought, again, the All Blacks were brilliant in the last 20 minutes, and we've got to take that because sometimes that's what Test match rugby is, isn't it? We used to see this a lot where it's one in that last 20. These days with so many substitutions, you don't normally get that. But that looked like a team that came over the top at the end. And so we've got to be really pleased with that. And as I said, it kicks us on to the Grand Slam. But this is what our job is, isn't it? Our job is to sit here and say, okay, well, yeah, but it's not all rose petals, flowers and paved with gold here. That wasn't that good. This wasn't that good. That wasn't that good. These bits were really good. That's okay.
Yeah. Like I suppose for you guys coming up, like Scotland's like a good bit of like Lions representation during the summer, like going away to Australia, getting a win. Like Finn Russell, should be in good form. They might have like Xander Fagerson back as well. So like they'll kind of, the Scots will kind of really be like targeting. I don't know. I think just the alcohol from last night is kicking in. The Scots will really be kind of going after, like, this. They know that like New Zealand, this is the biggest game they play all year. Apart from if they kind of have England in the Calcutta Cup, like it's to take down the All Blacks is like the big goal as well. Like, so they'll be really targeting it. And then England look really good. Like, I know you guys are used to playing Australia. Australia can be amazing one week and then they're just so dodgy the next week. I don't know what's going on. It's really strange to see a Joe Schmidt side kind of not have that consistency there. But England are going to be a really big test. And then you can basically just kind of play whoever's left in the squad who hasn't got a game.
Come on, Wales, poor old Wales. Go. Yeah, well, let's just wait and see. I mean, we'll see whether we've got 3 wins by then.
Yeah, but no, yeah, it's very interesting. Like it's, I think I did a piece for Rugby Pass before the game, kind of talking about how, like, maybe 18 months ago, you would have said Ireland had the best back row in the world in terms of consistency and players that were kind of complementary to each other. The Springbok fans would always kind of disagree. Any combination, they'll argue that their units are the best. Like, but I think at the moment the Springboks would kind of have a good argument for that. But like this All Blacks back row has got a good bit of potential there as well. Like it was like no Irish turnovers yesterday, which is so strange. No Irish line breaks as well. Like and then again, like you guys kind of just destroyed our kind of line out throws as well. So there's a lot. Yeah, as you guys are frustrated that you didn't click and everything, but you've messed up an awful lot of our game again. And I kind of like that thing about New Zealand. Like, I think everybody loves that New Zealand flair and that they can cut teams to ribbons as well. But I kind of like this. Like, there is a bit of grittiness to New Zealand, and they can if it gets nasty, they can win a game. And I kind of, as much as I hate losing as well, like there was a bit of grit to it there, and there's a little bit of stick that they were giving out in that last 10, 15 minutes where, they didn't exactly put the sword to Ireland. It was maybe like a dull spoon, but they enjoyed kind of digging it into us there in the last 10 or 15 minutes. So, the Grand Slam is still on, and still clunky, but the Grand Slam is still on anyway.
A huge thank you to Novus Glass for sponsoring this episode of the DSPN and for being a proud partner of the Special Olympics NZ. This December, over 1,200 incredible athletes, along with hundreds of volunteers, coaches and other support staff, will be making their way to Christchurch for the Special Olympics NZ 2025 National Summer Games. Novus Glass is proud to be supporting something special, and you can help too by supporting the athletes if you text Novus to 3598. That's NOVUS 3598. Thanks again, Novus Glass, for supporting the DSPN. Windscreen crack or chip? Notice it. Novus it.
This is the DSPN.